Welcome to Spiritual Changemakers, the podcast that guides you through tough times with practical tools and inspiring stories. I'm Andreea Tamas, your host and the Sacred Transitions Coach. Join us as we hear from spiritual changemakers who have connected with their higher power and overcame adversity. Whether you are navigating a difficult transition or seeking to deepen your spiritual practice, our podcast provides guidance to help you find magic in the change. Come on this journey of self-discovery, empowerment, and transformation with us and unlock your potential to become your best self. Welcome, my beautiful souls, to a new podcast episode on Spiritual Changemakers. We have a new guest today, and I'm so excited to welcome her in. We have Lora Cheadle. Yes, I
You
did
did
it.
it.
Amazing. And I was very intrigued by what she does and the way she's connecting, with the spirits. And I'm very happy to have her on and also have a different conversation around betrayal, because she's bringing her unique perspective about betrayal and how is there to actually support us and help us. But she will share all about it with us. And if you're wondering who is Lora, I'm going to introduce her a little bit, and of course you can go all in about afterwards and read about her and connect with her after this podcast as well. And it's so interesting because Lora is actually a former attorney and an author and multidimensional healing facilitator, and she's specializing in betrayal recovery and human transformation. She's drawing on her legal background, somatic movement expertise, and channeled wisdom from the Librarians. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing this correctly.
You did good.
And who are these? Are actually a collective of guides overseeing humanity's soul lessons. And she helps individuals alchemize betrayal into self-sovereignty and spiritual maturity. What we are going to chat today is how do we go beyond the wound? How do we channel the power, the purpose, and sovereignty after the betrayal? And we were just talking about how everyone has been through a betrayal at least once in their lifetime. So welcome, Lora. I'm so happy to have you here.
Thank you. I'm really looking forward to our conversation. I think it's going to be a good one.
Yeah, and you have such an interesting background. Like, you've been an attorney, then you went into this whole other spectrum of channeling wisdom. I would love to hear how this happened, when it started, and give us all the details about it.
Yeah, it was interesting. Growing up, I was very connected to spirit. I was very open, just all the things. And then as you grow up, that's kind of trained out of you. You're taught to lead with logic, things that you feel, things that you sense. It's not really there. So I kind of moved away from that realm. And what attracted me to law school really was the concept of justice. And I always felt very connected to to humanity, that I wanted to do my part to help people who were being treated poorly, to help people who are having bad things happen. And I thought, well, getting out of spirit, getting out of intuition, getting into my head, that's going to make me powerful. That will make me believable. I will have the ability to really right wrongs this way. Well, as you might guess, it's not really how that turned out. What I learned practicing law was a lot of law really has nothing to do with justice. It has to do with who has more money or who can make the best argument. And it's not about truth always. It's not about justice always. And it made me kind of cynical. And I think that was my first experience really with betrayal, because I thought going to law school, being an attorney means I can be one of the good people. I can be one of the helpers. And then it was like, truth doesn't always prevail. justice doesn't always get served, and it hurt my heart. I stepped away from practicing law and I went into the wellness space. Learned energy work. I learned hypnotherapy. I got certified as an angel reader. Like, I just started leaning into all of those things that I had stopped doing when I went to law school. And it felt so good. And it felt so right. And I felt so connected and so happy. And you know how sometimes when there's a little bit of ego there and you think you're on the right path, the universe kind of comes in and is like, oh no. That was me. I thought I've done everything right. I've walked away. I'm doing it perfect right now. I'm so good. I'm so connected. That's when I found out my husband had been cheating on me for 15 years
Oh.
of our 23-year marriage. And it shattered me. It took me down to a place that I didn't even think I could go. It was awful. And that sense of, bitterness, that sense of why me? And why do I try so hard? I've done everything right. I've tried to help people. I've tried to fight for the underdog. I've done it all. Why me? Why me? Like, why would I even bother? And that's when, being in that dark night of the soul, it really started connecting. And that's when my channeling of the librarians really started opening up. And the wisdom that came in was around these collective soul lessons. Yes, I was going through my own lessons. This was being done for my highest good. This was for me, not to me. But not only was my soul growing, but the librarians told me that my journey was also contributing to the collective wisdom around betrayal. And that as souls, whenever we go through something really challenging, that's the case too. And the librarians collect that wisdom and that it moves us all forward so that as a collective, once all of this wisdom has been gleaned, these lessons will literally disappear from the face of the earth because we as a human collective have learned from them.
Yeah. Okay. It's like so much to unpack there.
I
But
know.
it's like I really wanna hear when you say, okay, I started connecting and channeling wisdom from the librarians. Like, how that showed up, how did it appear? How did you know it's from them? Like, tell us about that.
Yeah. When I was younger, I would sometimes hear a voice in my head, and it would always kind of come in from the left side, and it would be a voice, and it would tell me things that were always right on. And I never really knew what that voice was. I just knew there was this voice, and it was wise, and it was loving, and it was sure, and it gave me information. It gave me insight. And again, that's something that I pushed away as I got older. Once I was going through this experience, that voice started kicking in again. And I started listening to it. And I was so broken down. I was so out of the conscious portion of my head, just in complete surrender, that it just started talking and coming in more and more and more. And I started listening and I started asking questions. Who are you? And have you always been with me? And why now? And can I trust you? And are you good? I mean, and am I going crazy? Is this a trauma response? And then I was on a flight. I was coming home actually from a betrayal recovery workshop with my husband. Spoiler alert, we ended up getting back together after this whole experience, which is incredible. And he's reconnected with his spirituality, and that's a whole other story. But I was on an airplane coming home from that. And all of a sudden, it was like this packet of information was downloaded into my brain. And I knew who the librarians were, and I knew about the wisdom. And it just all came in a rush.
So that's how it happened while you were flying.
Yeah.
And how would you say, because I have been working with energy and channeling and so on now for a couple of years. And when I was first introduced to it was through the Akashic records. And I know like the hardest thing with that, what has happened is like separating of what your mind makes up and what is
Yes.
actually information channeled coming through. So I'm curious, how were you able to overcome that and be like, no, this is channeled, it's not something I'm making up, it's a message I'm receiving.
Yeah. I'm so glad you asked that because I think that is one of the most common things like, what is this? Where is this coming from? Here's how I know. It's a very different voice than the voice in my head. It has a more male, masculine quality, and the voice in my head is very much Laura. And this is a calmer, louder, it's a wise, it's a firm, it's a slightly more masculine energy. And it comes in on the left side of my body. It's like somebody is standing here. And when that energy comes in, I feel a big vibration kind of coming through on the left side of my body. And it comes in so quickly that it sometimes is hard to process versus my own thoughts. My own thoughts, I lead them along sometimes. Ooh, what should I have for dinner tonight? Maybe I'm doing this. And my gosh, what do you think she meant when I kind of lead them? And this is just a stream of information that comes in.
Okay, and beautiful distinction between the two. And now going back to betrayal, you said that your husband, which it seems that it's not your ex-husband, it's still your current husband,
Yes.
has betrayed you for 15 years. And
Yes.
like, how did you end up finding out? And what was like the stages of this betrayal that you ended up actually being back together, which I probably for a majority of people sounds like hell no.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's what I would have thought it would have been. I found out it was like the falling of the house of cards. I would find out one thing, I would find out another thing. Several months later, I would find out something else. It took about 6 months for me to find everything out because there were so many different layers and he was hiding. So I found out a multitude of ways. I found out when I had his phone once and a Facebook message got sent. I found out when I went into his email after that Facebook message got sent and I was looking in his sent items and I found an email in there. I ended up reaching out it's funny that you mentioned the Akashic Records. I reached out to a woman that I knew who read the Akashic Records and I said, can you tell me anything? Is there anything else? Because I feel like there's more. And she said, I feel like there's at least two more too. And I went to my husband and I said, you've got to tell me the truth. And he said, the truth is there's two more.
So he cheated with multiple women?
5
With
women.
5. Okay.
I know. It's a lot and it sounds really crazy because before this would have happened, I would have thought, and I probably said even, if he ever cheats on me, I'm out of here. That is no way am I ever going to go through something like that. That is ridiculous. And then it happens and it doesn't make sense. I had been with this man for 28 years. I knew him really, really well. And this was really out of character for him. And I needed to understand it because something felt wrong. And I had this deep knowing that this isn't the end of the story. And I don't know what that story is, but I know this isn't the end. And I know that whether we separate or whether we stay together or whether something else happens, I need to understand this because this isn't who he is. And we were really in love and we were really good friends and we had a really great life and we had a lot of fun together and it didn't make sense. So that was the energy that drove me to figure this out because it didn't make sense. And what I learned, what I didn't know then, that I wish I would have known, my husband is a severe trauma survivor. The ACE, the Adverse Childhood Experiences score, is a test, scale of 1 to 10, significant things that you've experienced in your life, 10 out of 10 being the worst. He's a 9 out of 10. He was in foster care, he was abused, he was neglected, he was in severe poverty, he was taken away from his family. I mean, everything that could have happened that you think about happens. And when he grew up, it was, I'm over that. I'm closing the door on that, and I'm over that. But that's not how trauma works. You don't just close the door and say, I'm over it. Sexual
Yep.
abuse, murder, trauma, whatever. I'm over it.
I'm just forgetting about it.
Exactly. I'll just, pray it away or whatever. It doesn't work like that. And this was how his trauma was manifesting in his life. It was a coping mechanism in the same way some people drink or gamble or shop or whatever. Cheating was his coping mechanism. And that's why it was so long and so prolific. But then there was these layers of shame around it because it isn't who he is. And then he would feel guilty over it. And it would create these huge shame spirals. So when we started unpacking that, he got a good therapist, we got some good couples therapists, we did some spiritual work, a lot of spiritual work, and he started unpacking the layers of trauma around that. It's taken a long time, but I have the understanding of what trauma is and how PTSD manifests, and that this is one of those coping mechanisms. And he has shown up completely differently. He is managing his trauma. He's managing his triggers. He's communicating. Everything is different. We have a deeper relationship now because he's able to express pain that he was never able to express. Before it was like, he's the rock and it's all fine and nothing can ever hurt him. But inside he was broken and hurting all the time, but he didn't know how to express that or to get help. So then I thought he's like the strongest man in the world and he needs nothing ever. He needed a lot.
Yeah. And I hear from what you just shared, Laura, that, okay, you decided to stay and unpack because you're like, your feeling, your intuition was like, this doesn't feel right. This is not who he is, which gave you the strength and the direction to stay and unpack it. But what does it happen when we deal with betrayal at the beginning? Like, for example, for me, it has happened with one of my exes. I was madly in love, like madly. I don't think I ever been as in love as I was at that point. And I was constantly getting this instinct and this intuition that something is not right. Something is not right. And I knew from what he shared with me from his history that he has been like the Don Juan, like not really having relationships, like just one. And he was like 40, he only had one relationship of 2 years and that's it. But he's been like, I don't know, with hundreds of women. And then I would constantly have this like fear, probably, I would say. And I would even dream about it that, oh my God, he's cheating on me. And we were for a short period of time together. I also want to emphasize that, for a short period, but super intense. Those relationships that are like explosion. That's how it was for us. And then it just happened that we were at dinner, and it was so funny. I had this client at Airbnb. I was having my house under Airbnb, and this client was a pain in the ass. And I couldn't text from my phone. So I asked him, can you give me your phone to text from your phone? And in that moment, when I was texting that client, he received a message. And I could not understand what it was because it was in German. All I knew is that my heart started pounding. I almost felt like I'm having a heart attack, like a panic attack, not heart attack, like a panic attack. And I just knew something is not right in that moment. And I asked him, I was like, you just received a message. And all I understood was Facebook, you received a message. Is there something in this message that you think would hurt our relationship? And he's like, no, nothing. I was like, are you sure? He's like, yeah. And I was like, so you're okay if I'm going to read the messages? He's like, yeah. And that was it. I read the messages and they were far from being okay. And that's when I've experienced, I would say, the biggest heartbreak, the biggest like betrayal from my side, you know. And
Yes.
what do you do in those moments? Because for me, it was like, okay, we are barely together at the beginning where it should be, you know, like honeymoon, butterflies, and so on. And this happened. I'm like, I cannot trust you. And I chose to step away. I chose to leave. And it was one of the hardest things I did.
I bet. I bet. Yeah, I validate because when I found out, I literally fell to the floor. I couldn't make sense of it in my brain. You know, our kids, our lives, anniversaries, holidays, like it didn't make any sense. And I couldn't process it. And I literally crumpled to the floor and I thought I was going to start throwing up because it was so visceral.
Mm-hmm.
The absolute worst thing, the worst shock I've ever been through. And what I've since learned about betrayal is it's such a combination of grief and loss. But the biggest thing that people don't talk about is the identity rupture. It ruptures our view of who we think we are. You know, like I think I'm worthy of being chosen. I think that I'm this
Mm-hmm.
amazing partner for you. And I think that I am worthy. And whatever it is that we think about ourselves, like we are secure in our identity. I was his wife, I was their mom, I was Laura who did all of these things. And I was so secure that I was loved and that I was chosen. And it rips that away. That shattering of the identity. It's like, I must not be pretty enough. I must not be smart enough. I must not be good enough in bed. I must not be a good conversation. Like all the things that could possibly be wrong with
Mm-hmm.
me that I thought were right. Oh my God, what a fool. I thought I was good and I'm not. And it's that identity rupture that is so hard to process
Mm.
in betrayal.
Yeah, because it puts you down, like what you believe about yourself. It's yeah, and it's very hard. And like what would you say for someone? Yes, because you had a history with this man and you're like, I know that's not who he is.
Yeah.
But what does it happen in situations like mine when you are with someone that you barely got to know a few months, I don't know, a few weeks, a few months?
Mm-hmm.
Like how do you choose at that point? Because I was the same as you were saying. I was like, no, this is a non-negotiable for me. And
Yeah.
you know, I feel like I would be out of integrity for me to stay in a situation like this. And it was just such a no. And I do realize that part of it was the ego as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the most important thing is to really trust your gut, you know, to go in with a clear head and trust your gut because what is the problem? You know, why can't somebody speak truth to you? And that's might not be a relationship you're going to want to stay in. And the other person has to be very accountable. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I early on when I found out and I'd say, you know, why, what are you doing? And it'd be like, cause you're a bitch, cause you don't give any attention to me. And he would spew all of these excuses. And at that point, it's like, I'm out of here. You know, I can't, I'm trying to understand, but if you're not going to talk to me honestly, then we can't move forward. And it was not very far in, he came back to the house because he was living somewhere else. And he broke down and he was like, this is all me. I need you to know you've done nothing wrong. I am broken. I am so broken. I don't know who I am. I don't know why I've hid this for so long. I will be eternally sad by what I have done. And if there's anything I could do to fix it, I wish I could. But this is me and this is my problem. And I am so broken. And
Mm.
he walked away. Now that's a point where we can have a conversation. Okay, you're coming to me in honesty and letting me know I do have a problem. Great. What can we do to talk about that? And I think that's, for me, a big point in making the decision. I'm not going to
Mm.
fight for this relationship single-handedly. I can't. It's not about me to fix you. You need to fix you. And if we need help learning how to communicate or to process this, perfect. But we each need to stand in our own integrity, and we each need to do the work and come to the table and be completely vulnerable. And if not,
Yes.
bye.
Yeah. So really making sure that the other person is willing, no, and it desires and it opens up, it's vulnerable, to see its side and its part to what has happened. And
Yeah.
how was it for you afterwards? Like once you decided, okay, I'm gonna move forward with this and we are going to unpack it and discover what happened. Did you ever had like those moments where like, what if he's gonna do it again? Can I trust him again? And how did you overcome that?
Yeah, there were plenty of moments where it's like, what am I doing? And did I just make the biggest mistake? And am I being snowed? What if, yeah, what if this happens again? And how I overcame that was I really realized, and it sounds so easy to say, it's harder to do. I'm only in charge of myself and I need to trust myself fully. And going
Mhm.
forward, I need to listen to my intuition and I need to listen to my heart and I need to ask the hard questions and I need to say the hard things and I need to ask for what I need. And that going forward, we're too busy to talk about it is not an excuse. And if either one of us feels like we need help or we need time or we're having an issue, we're addressing it now. You know, before we were both working, we're raising kids, it's so busy and it's so easy to just be like, we'll take care of that later. We just have to get, to Christmas dinner, figure it out later. And then you never do.
Mhm.
And I have higher standards for myself now. I've really come to realize a lot of it is self-betrayal. How are the ways I didn't stand up for myself? How are the ways I betrayed myself along the way? And what are the things that I can do to assure that I am my own first priority? Because that
Mm.
is what's going to keep me safe. And can I get hurt again? Yes. Will I probably get hurt in some area of life? Yes, because that's life. But I'm giving
Mm.
myself love. I'm giving myself grace. I'm using the wisdom of my head and my heart and my gut. And I'm trusting my knowing and my truth. And I'm trusting that I'll be okay.
Oh, that is so big, what you
I
just
know.
shared there, because it's truly, and I've had to learn this as well, that it's not so much like trusting the other person, it's really trusting yourself, trusting that no matter what, you got your back. No matter what, I can stand up again, even if I'll be heartbroken again.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's
And that's
hard.
it's huge.
It's hard.
Yeah. It is. It is. And I'm curious if you have like to share with the audience, like what would be like some of the signs when people get through a betrayal, what are like the symptoms that people go through?
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I think the first thing that you go through is that complete devastation. The complete hopeless, embarrassed, shame, crushed, heartbroken. You feel shattered. You absolutely feel like you have been gutted and shattered because you were in shock. And you are in shock and you feel the feelings. And I think that's the first thing I want to let people know You can't just get to the other side right away. You do have to feel those feelings. And it's okay to let yourself be broken for a while. It doesn't feel good, but we've got to feel it and not bypass all of those feelings. Because once we have felt all of that and we have been broken for a while, that next phase is the putting together. And this is where it kind of starts getting exciting, because I can put myself together a little bit differently than I was before. I used to be too much of a people pleaser. I used to be more of a perfectionist. I used to think this, that, and the other thing mattered. I'm not buying that anymore. This is no longer my conditioning. And whether you're cynical, look at what it got me anyway, I'm not going to do it. Or whether you're empowered, like, I just don't want to anymore. It gives you the choice to stand on your own 2 feet and start putting things together, and then fail and put it together and readjust, and to start building yourself, to start connecting to spirit, to truth, to everything in service of being who you were always meant to be. And from that point on, you just start feeling more and more sure, more and more trusting, and then also more and more compassionate towards the world, because it's hard. And it's hard, and we all get stuck in victimhood, and we've all done bad things, and we've all hurt people, and it just opens your mind so much to the human condition.
Yes. So you pretty much, because you mentioned even previously that we have this identity breakdown. No, it's like your whole identity
Totally.
it's shattered, and then it's like a rebuilding. And it almost sounds to me, from what you just heard, Lora, that it's like a rebirth, because you get to choose in that moment when you are heartbroken, when you are down, you get to choose how do I want to rebuild right now? How do I want to show up for myself differently than I have showed? So it's not even so I don't go through something like this again, because that goes to things that it's not in your control. But what do you believe about this thing that, okay, we attract who we are? Because you also mentioned that, okay, where was I betrayed myself? So your
Yes.
husband was like a mirror to your self-betrayal. So what do you
Yes.
have to share about that there?
That it's really hard to see. It really is hard to see. And it's okay if you don't see it fully or completely, to just be willing to see yourself. And I would say that to myself, I am willing to see things differently. I am willing to see the truth. And it's hard. And to let things come off in layers, because it's not about blame. Like, oh my God, Lori, you were so stupid. You were a perfectionist, and you tried to be perfect all the time, and you pleased other people. It's this gentle understanding that I have a voice, and I have desires and wants and needs, and I'm worthy. And in service of taking care of my family and friends, I didn't take care of myself. I would stay up too late trying to make things nice. I would feel sad. I would feel like a martyr if I would take care of everything, clean the house, make a great meal, and nobody would notice. And it would be like, I did all of this for you and nobody notices. Nobody asked me to do that. I'm doing it almost as a manipulative thing to prove myself as worthy. And seeing yourself clearly, understanding the ego, understanding motivation, it's hard. It's our conditioning. I was raised to believe that good women did this. Good women are self-sacrificing. Good women keep their bodies nice and their house nice. And it's just the breaking of the molds. I call it the labels, the rules, and the scripts. And I had to start shedding those labels, rules, and scripts to find out who I really was, and just to go slow.
Oh, Go slow. Yes, so important because we tend to be on, especially when we are on a self-development journey.
Yes.
And when we start to get to know more of who I am, I know I've been through that, and I've seen many of my clients too, that we want it and we want it now and we want it fast and we want to be done with it.
Yes, yes. And like, I wanted it right. Like, I was so locked into doing things right. You know, it's like you
Mm,
get the good grade, you get this right, you do it right. And I wanted to do everything right. And I was doing my life right. So let's heal this
yeah.
betrayal and do it right. And it's like, it's not how it works, darn it.
Hmm. Yeah, so it sounds like a very beautiful transformational journey that you have been on to really get to know yourself at a much deeper level, at a core level. And what a blessing, what a gift.
Yes. A huge blessing and a huge gift, and one that I would not have received had I not gone through this journey.
Yeah, and I've been studying Kabbalah, and one of the
Mhm.
things I've been learning in Kabbalah, it is saying how we have these people that come in our lives who do certain things. For example, how your husband right now has cheated, and it's not because they are bad people. It's not because, but you kind of did an agreement, and he's such a brave soul. He's like, I'm gonna hurt you, but I will do it because
Mhm.
that's how you are going to grow. That's how you are going to go to the depth of where you have to go. And he knows, and your souls know that it would have not happened otherwise.
Yes, yes. And the mirror, you're absolutely right. And the mirror for each other. You know, my core wound was I was abandoning myself. I was betraying myself. So what he did to me helped me stand in my own power. And then on his side, everything that he went through being abandoned, being abused, his core wound was he never had unconditional love. It was be good and you will not get beat. Be good and I will give you food. Be good. Everything was very conditional. So then this journey also, love, unconditional love got mirrored back to him. He could do the worst thing possible to me, and he is still worthy of my love because it is unconditional. So we have each healed each other's core wound in a
Mm.
really deep way.
Wow. Yeah, it's so profound. And you also mentioned you have children, no? And I do not have children, but I know the first layer is your partner. That is like a very big mirror. That is it's showing you your wounds and triggers and so on. And
Yeah.
after your partner, once you have children, the children are the biggest mirror. And you mentioned there, Lora, how okay, I was like cooking and cleaning and like doing all of the things to be
Yes.
like a martyr and to sacrifice and to receive the recognition. And of
Mhm.
course, it was an unconscious thing, it was not, I'm doing all of these things consciously, and
Right.
there you have to give me praise. That happens unconsciously. And honestly, I see that, I would say, with the majority of my friends. The majority of my friends that they are just overdoing everything, especially the moms. And
Yes.
they never make the space for themselves. It's like, but I don't have the time. I don't have the time to work out. I don't have the time to go to a walk. I just don't have the time. There is so much to do. So
Mhm.
why would you tell those women who they constantly self-abandon themselves and they betray themselves on a regular basis?
Yeah. All the time. All the time. And you're absolutely right. It's what's hard about it is if people would have told me all the things that I would tell people now, I wouldn't have believed it. Because it really comes down to your desires are okay. You can have desires. You have an equal voice. And it's beyond receiving. You know, women especially talk about, they don't know how to receive. I don't know how to receive. I always say it's one level deeper than that. It's take. You need to take. It's not about receiving and sitting back and saying, I really hope the world gives me great stuff. You can have a desire, you can have an expectation, and you can reach out and take it. And if you want to work out because you feel good, it is up to you to take the time, to take the money, to buy the course, to do the investment, to schedule daycare, to have your partner come in and do something for you. You need to take it for you because nobody is ever going to give it to you. And my big nugget of wisdom is, if you always put yourself last, you will never be first. And it sounds like so silly, but why do you think you will be first? Why do you think somebody will give you something if you put yourself last? Where you place yourself in the family, in the universe, in the world, is where other people will place you, because you have told them, I go last, I go last, I go last.
Oh, so true. But how do you overcome? I'm not, as I said, a mom, but this is one of the biggest things I see with clients and with my friends, the guilt. The guilt that the mom have when I cannot do something for myself because there is so much to do for the house and for the children.
Yeah. Two different things. First of all, guilt is a learned thing. We are socially
Mm.
conditioned to feel guilt around that. You are buying into a narrative that doesn't make sense. Would anybody else feel guilty for sitting down and having a meal? Would anybody else feel guilty for taking a bubble bath? Would anybody else feel guilty for, going out for a coffee or getting a pedicure or whatever it is? That doesn't make sense. This is a narrative. This narrative is designed to keep you small. This narrative is designed to keep you in service to other people. Men don't feel guilt like that. There are other ways men are manipulated, but
No,
men
not
do
at all.
not feel guilt. This is a control mechanism. So when you have that awareness that this guilt is a control mechanism and that you don't have to buy into it, that's huge. And then
Okay. So, and you said there are two things. And the second thing,
and the second thing is, if you really want to get thoughtful about it, what is going to keep? The laundry will always be there. The cleaning will always be there. Your child is growing up right now. Your partner might get cancer and die. These relationships with the people that you care about, they're fleeting. In 10 years, when you look back, are you going to remember the great time that you had at the park with your friends and your partner and all your kids running around? Or are you going to look back and be like, yeah, but my laundry was folded? Know what matters and lean into what matters now. And 9 times out of 10, it's people in relationships and not chores.
yes, like really looking at prioritizing things, no? Because I would say
Mhm.
even like chores, and they can be like a distraction.
Yeah.
Won't you agree? Like, oh no,
Yeah.
but I have to clean and I have to cook. And honestly, I would say they're a distraction as well from actually not facing yourself, not facing your
Yes.
demons, not being with yourself, and not getting real with yourself. But it's easier to put it on the outside things
Yeah.
so
It's a
you don't
mask.
actually go. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the mask that I wear. The mask that I
Mm,
wear is that I keep everything perfect because I'm afraid that
mm.
somebody will see something inside of me that's not perfect.
Yes, and perfectionism, I know I dealt with it a lot. It's such an illusion.
Mm,
Such
it
an
is.
illusion. Yeah, it's truly like one of these other things, no, that we have been taught, which you ask 10 people what perfect means, everyone is going to have a different definition, but you put yourself at this high standard that you will never be able to accomplish and achieve. Therefore, you're just going to keep punishing
Yeah.
yourself for not being there.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, amazing, Laura. Such a beautiful conversation. And what's happening after? Okay, you shared the symptoms, the stages that people go through after betrayals. And what's life after?
It's rich and it's raw and it's messy, but it's really beautiful. And it's
Hmm.
one of those things when you have faced the scariest thing and you have survived, it really makes you fearless in a whole different way. And it's not that you're actually saying, bring it on, because I don't want any more. But at the same time, I'll take more risks because I know I can handle it.
So you are able to live life at a different level and experience life differently than before, because it sounds like you get to know yourself at a deeper level. You understand life and others differently
Mhm.
because you go beyond that ego, that part that, oh no, I cannot be with a person like this. And you go into the depth. Okay, what's the reason? What's the why is this happening? What this happened? And then you just give yourself the permission to be more of yourself.
Yeah, yeah. And when you think about like fear or love, everything is either done in fear or it's done in love. It made me realize how many people do things out of fear instead of doing things out of love and what it really means to do things out of love. And I've
Mm,
set myself free to act out of love. And it just feels better. My relationship with my husband, I mean, we've never been this vulnerable. I've very clearly seen the
mm.
worst in him. He's very clearly seen the worst in me. And we can transcend this and we can act in love instead of fear. Do we still
Yeah,
get into
that's
fear? Of course, we're humans, but it's okay.
it's okay. And you also mentioned something I would say crucial, where you said take it slow, like there's no rush in healing yourself right away after heartbreak, to allow yourself to feel it,
Yeah.
or even to discover the layers. Okay, what's all that is underneath this? There is no rush to
Mm.
arrive anywhere.
No, no. And when we experience something like this, it brings up so many past betrayals, disappointments, experiences. And it's this beautiful opportunity to go back and feel some of the things that we didn't feel and to heal some of the things that we just glossed over.
Hmm.
It's like when somebody passes away, all of a sudden you start thinking about all the other people and animals that have passed away, and you just go through this huge grieving phase because it like rips the scab off of everything.
Yeah.
But what a wonderful opportunity to keep healing and to keep feeling and to keep
Hmm.
processing, because no, life is busy and we can't always take all the time we need in the moment to process.
Exactly. Yeah, and that reminded me when my life partner passed away after a cancer journey, and I was in this like very deep grief. And I was working with my energy healer, and she told me, right now you're not just processing your grief. You are actually processing your mom's grief as well. And I was like, how is
Yes.
that? And then from that moment, I ended up finding out that actually my grandma, who was my mother's mom, that she passed away when I was in my mom's belly, and I was
Oh,
7 months in her belly. And she just
mm,
transmitted to me her whole
grief.
grief. Yeah, for her mom passing, which I didn't know the story until that time. And I was like, wow, it's so amazing that we have this ability,
Mm,
to release even after 30 years of when it has happened. And I just love that.
mhm. Yeah. Yeah. We have the time. And whenever
Yes.
it comes up, I trust that it's in divine right timing because we have to be strong enough. We have to be supported enough. And whenever it comes up, it comes up. And I really do trust that we are in the right place at the right time to go through things.
Yes. Exactly. Exactly. I remember when my life partner got diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. I was like, wow, now I understand why I have done everything I have done until this moment. Because everything I have done, it has prepared me for this moment to be able for me to be next to him and just go on this journey in a way that I feel good about. That
Yes.
just like changed everything for me.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And like that, to look at whatever experience it is and to see the gift of it. And then what the librarians taught me, not only the gift for us, but the gift that we give humanity
Mm.
in the lessons that we learn and how our learning serves everyone. To me, that is so powerful.
Yeah, and tell me a little bit more about that. How
We learn.
is it like sharing your lessons, like from your experiences, like for example, what we are doing right now in the podcast as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I can share my wisdom and you can share your wisdom. And it's not that people won't go through their own grief process, but these nuggets can be in their heads, in their energy fields, in their hearts. And we heal the whole when we heal ourselves. And when we
Mm,
can blaze that trail and walk that path, and then shine the light for other people. Come this way, come this way. I've walked this path too, come this way.
mm.
People are not alone. And the more people that walk that path, the brighter that path becomes. And the easier it is for other people to follow that and to not get lost.
Yes. Yes, that's why it's important to have spaces like this where people share vulnerably about their experience and about their stories. So people know out there that they are not alone on the journey. And I remember even at the beginning of my journey, on my personal development journey, on my healing journey, I heard from Lisa Nichols. I don't know if you know Lisa Nichols. She was like one of my mentors at the beginning, and she was saying that there are people out there who are only going to hear you, are only going to resonate with your story, your voice, your frequency, and there is no one else out there in
Mhm.
the world. And it's so important for us to share our stories because you just never know who and how many people you are going to impact through you sharing.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's
Yeah,
beautiful.
because we
Yeah.
have our fractals, no? We have our fractals, we have our soul family, our tribe that only resonates, and we only resonate with each other. No matter, like, that's why we hear the same message from 100 people, but we only are able to understand it from this one person.
Yes, yes, exactly, exactly. And then like that, changing the one changes the whole. You know, I
Mm-hmm.
love the fractal concept because we are that mirror. So if I change my fractal, then all of a sudden everybody's else's change as well. And we've just elevated.
Exactly. As I feel we have done in this conversation. And
Mhm.
thank you, Laura, so much. It's my heart is so open in this moment. Thank you for coming. Thank you for sharing your beautiful wisdom and your beautiful energy with all of us. And if you'd like to share with the audience, what platform do you spend the most time on? So people, I will anyways add all the in the show notes, all of the links. But what is your favorite platform?
Yeah, definitely. I'm loving YouTube these days. I'm doing monthly channelings from the librarians. So hop on YouTube, Lora Cheadle, life choreographer. I've got a lot of betrayal recovery stuff, but I'm just loving channeling the librarians on
Hmm.
YouTube.
Okay,
but I
amazing.
am
And
on all social as well.
on all socials, yes,
Yeah.
you'll find all of her links. And how do you work with people? Like, what do you do for people? How do you support them? How do you help them?
Yeah, a couple of different ways. I do one-on-one sessions on Zoom. We can do channeling, we can do betrayal recovery coaching, whatever that you need. I also have a group program. So if you're like, I just want to dip in and dip out, you can do a group program. And then this is very unique to me. I do voice, asynchronous voice coaching using the Voxer app. You get 24/7 access to me, and we just have conversations along the way so you can get that growth and that help that you need in the moment.
Amazing, amazing, beautiful. Thank you, Laura, so much. Make sure you reach out to Laura and share with us what has been your biggest insights and takeaways. And thank you for tuning in. Tap into yourself, into your body, and see how do you feel right now after you have been with us on this beautiful conversation, and what stayed with you, what resonated with you. And remember, it's not about the perfection. It's all about progress, and take it slow and enjoy no matter what's happening and what you're going through your life. Thank you.
So beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to Spiritual Changemakers podcast. To stay connected and help us reach more people like you, please subscribe, follow, and leave a comment. Join our community of spiritual changemakers on social media to connect with like-minded individuals and continue the conversation. Remember, the power to create positive change is within you. Keep showing up as your best self, and let's keep the magic of change alive. Until next time.